My name is Katherine Johnson, and I am a speaker coach on the student success team at the Speaker Lab. Today on Talk Speaker to Me, I'm going to be digging into executive presence. Let's get to it. First things first, what is executive presence? Executive presence is all about perception, right? It is the constellation of cues that people use to create judgments about important things like our credibility, our trustworthiness, and likability. Because it's about perception, it really matters that as speakers, you're intentional about the message you're broadcasting. This is really, really important. So, why should speakers develop executive presence? Here's the thing. The ability to connect and share a powerful message with your audience is about so much more than your words. Right? Before you even say a single thing, your audience is making micro evaluations on who and what they think you are, including things like, should I listen to this person? Do they have anything of value to say? Are they credible? Why should I pay attention? And one of the unfortunate things is those first impressions stick. So even if they're inaccurate, it's almost like you've lost your audience before you've started speaking. And then you have to work that much harder to get them on board. When people don't have executive presence, they may stand out, but it's for the wrong reasons. It might be body language that's distracting or body language that signals low confidence. It might be a lackluster tone of voice or a dry delivery. Or it could be something that feels very superficial, such as distracting clothes that send a disastrous message. Okay, when you don't have all aspects of your executive presence developed, they're all things that create what I call static, right? It disrupts your executive presence and it undermines connection with your audience. So your professional image might be outdated, or maybe you don't even put much thought into it. Or maybe you're trying so hard and it's a turnoff to people because other people are really good at picking up when you're being phony or if you're wearing your clothes like a costume. So we have to get rid of all that, shed all those things, all those behaviors, all those aspects that create what I think of as like speed bumps. We want it to be smooth pavement. We want it to be really easy for people to connect with us. So you and your signals need to be broadcasting in a way that you can be perceived in the right light. And so this is not only about speaking from the stage, it's also about your brand and getting speaking engagements as well as getting paid your worth. So it matters how event planners see you, how you're putting yourself out there when you're networking. You know, what are those initial impressions as you are representing your speaking brand? So executive presence plays a piece in all aspects of your speaking business. So the next question you're likely asking is, well, how can speakers develop it? Well, one, you want to start with a presence audit. So I'm going to tell you the three big categories that make up the evaluations of executive presence. Okay. So one are perceptions of gravitas. And so that is having command of your information, of yourself, of the way you walk into the room, the way you carry yourself, the way that you speak. Okay. Then the next part is around communication. And that's everything from your use of humor, the way you speak, your tone of voice, the words that you choose. So there's a lot that goes into communication as well as nonverbal communication, like your body language. We know that we build trust through our eye contact, through our hands, having open and connecting gestures. Okay. So these are things that when you do an audit, you want to see yourself speaking. You want to be aware of when you're nervous, where do you put your hands? Do you put them behind your back? Do you do something that's kind of fidgety? You've got to assess. So being really intentional and honest to look for those blind spots. So far we've talked about gravitas, we've talked about communication. The third part is image. So it's a small percentage of how our overall executive presence is evaluated. But here's the thing. It's the very first hurdle. So it creates the filter through which everything people think and how they see you, how it's formed. Okay, I'm going to say that again. How you look, your image creates the filter through which everything you say and do is evaluated. That's the power of the three in the relationship. So it's like you have to go through that doorway. So paying attention to your image, making sure that it's congruent, aligned, you feel comfortable and confident, the fit is good, you're wearing the colors that work on you, it's appropriate for the industry and the audiences you're speaking to. All those things should be very intentional. Do not leave it up to chance, because otherwise you're letting people, you're losing control of your message and letting people form their opinions about you, and they may not be good. Okay? The other thing to be intentional about when we think of how do you develop executive presence is thinking about your energy. Okay. Your energy is one of the things that people are picking up on. And we know that confidence is contagious. So what does confident energy look like to you? Look at nonverbal communications. Look at the way you walk onto a stage. How do you sound? Where does your voice go when you're confident? You've got to understand how this gets communicated and broadcast around several different touch points. Okay. If you spend all your time crafting the perfect words, but you're lacking engaging body language, or you're disappearing behind armor, or you're putting on a performance that people don't feel like they're actually getting the real you, you will have already lost your audience, right? You have to work harder then to win them back and get them on your side. We don't want that for you. So what can you expect when you embody executive presence? What changes for a speaker and what changes for your speaking business? Well, just about everything. And I say that because I worked with speakers for over 10 years working on executive presence. The way you show up on stage and in your business changes when you have executive presence. It changes how you show up, and it changes how people connect with you. I've seen people make adjustments to their executive presence cues, and then the way their message lands with the audience improves. Same words, just elevating their executive presence, and it's received differently. Okay? So I want you to elevate your whole game as a speaker so that you can feel more confident in how you go about building your speaking business. What it's not about is it's not about looking a single specific way. Okay, this isn't about conforming into a mold. It's about figuring out how do you broadcast an authentic, congruent, professional presence that signals you are the right person at the right moment delivering this message. Learn how to remove distractions, get some help so that there's no static, and then amplify your message and amplify your impact as a speaker.